Hello, it's Jeannie. How are you? Welcome to my channel, and if you've been here before, welcome back. I appreciate that. Today's video is going to be a blah 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 ramble, droning on, and I've got an interesting book I'll read from later on. But the purpose of this video is to just be able to plug in to a droning voice and let it soothe you. Because sometimes we don't need a lot of stimulus to calm us, and the less stimulus, the better. So there won't be much touching, scratching, or tapping, but a little bit, maybe some page turning, but not a lot. So it's really just about my voice and being able to close your eyes, listen to my droning, because I can drone with the best of them, remember, and just tune out and relax. And hopefully fall asleep if that's your goal. I remember in certain classes in high school or college, listening to an instructor, a teacher, a professor talk, and sometimes, depending on the time of day, if they had a particular drone to their voice, kind of a monotone, I would start to just fade away. And it took everything I could to stay awake. And this was back in the day when we brought recorders for lectures, and I could replay parts of it later, thank God. So anyway, when I need to sleep, sometimes what soothes me the most is tuning in to talking. Just lots of talking. And it's not about the content or the topic. It's just the monotone and the constant blah blah blah, the constant droning. And while you may find some of this interesting, nothing is important enough to listen to or pay attention to. Just my voice helping you to tune out and relax. So, this book that I have, I've shown a couple of times in other videos, and it's called Amy Vanderbilt's Complete Book of Etiquette. And there isn't anything that isn't covered for life in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. This was actually published around 1952, I think. And I was glancing through it, and I found some of the topics quite humorous. I found some of the assumptions pretty funny. And given that this was my great-grandmother's book, that's probably the funniest part, because my great-grandmother and great-grandfather lived in Mendocino. And if you don't know, Mendocino is a small coastal town in Northern California. When they lived there, it was in the 1920s and 30s, maybe into the 40s. And they lived in a cabin type of a house that did not have electric lights, and it did not have running water. And it was in kind of the forest, which was right off of the coast, right off the beaches. The forest comes right up to almost to the sand. It's cold and damp very much, a very good part of the year. So they're made of some tough stuff. But the whole etiquette, and this book is formal etiquette, how to set a place at a dinner table with, 25 pieces. If they owned 4 plates that were the same, I think I'd be surprised. They came from very meager beginnings, as most people did, back then in the West. I think they moved to Alaska, Skagway, after their stay in Mendocino, and then to San Jose. But they were never formal, never, entertaining the wealthy. They did well later in life, but some of these things are really funny with today's perspective looking back. So I hope you enjoy my voice. That's the purpose of this video. I'm not going to show shots of the book or turning the pages. I don't want to deal with that. It's just straight on. Hopefully I won't make too many errors and have to edit too much. But I'll cover a couple of the topics here. This is a very big book. And so the topic I am starting on is going to be household servants, because this book is assuming you have them. And so I'll go over some of the categories right now. And I have to wear my glasses because I can't read without them. So, Chapter 40, Employer-Servant Relations. The hiring of servants. Now, it is best, I believe, to hire domestics through an accredited employment agency with whom you regularly do business. Good tip. And it goes over wages, your requirements, what tests you should ask of them. Doctor's bills to see their general health, x-rays, Wasserman tests, before even taking an employee on, even on a temporary basis. Wow. It is best to conduct the interview in your own home, showing the applicant the house and explaining your requirements. And then it goes over the interview, how to describe the job, not minimizing duties. Don't say light laundry when all the family's wash is to be done at home. And then checking references, introducing the new servant to the household. Introducing the servant to guests. So in introducing guests and servants, the servant is always introduced to the guest in this way. Mrs. Hanson, this is Mona, my personal maid. She's going to look after you too while you are here, so call upon her if you need anything. That's how I do it, I think. You do not need a complete introduction. Boy. And then it goes on to how to furnish a maid's room, the servant's sitting room or dining room, and how to teach and train your servant, because it is rare that they arrive to your household perfectly trained. Oh my goodness. If you have a busy family, it will certainly be necessary for you to give your maid some systematic assistance. You will probably save money by doing the supply shopping yourself if you have practical knowledge of cost and quality of food. Wow. Try from the beginning of your relationship with a domestic to establish a dignified employer-employee relationship. Don't pry into their lives, into your servants' lives and activities. In personal matters, don't give advice unless it is asked. It talks about time off and having limited privileges if you have a telephone, making it available to them, but only on a limited basis. We don't want them gabbing all day. Oh, dismissing a servant. In some of the places where I have lived, it is freely assumed that all the servants steal given the chance. Firing servants for light fingers would mean a dizzy turnover of help. Instead, everything tempting is kept under lock and key, and servants that go home are checked out like workers in a gold mine. So they're patted down. Wow. It is always more efficient and kinder to give a servant another chance whenever possible than to be a hair-trigger firer. Wow. There are times, of course, when a second chance might prove foolhardy. Wow. How to write a letter of reference for your servants. Okay. Now, dress and duties of the household staff. What the men servants should be wearing. What the butler should be wearing. A butler usually provides his own clothes for his work. But of course, they may be provided by the household in which they are the property of his employer. Wow. In very conventional households, a butler has 3 clothing changes a day and wears in the morning a solid color, double-breasted sack suit in blue, black, or Oxford, a white shirt with detached fold-over stiff collar, black Oxfords, carefully gartered plain black socks, and a dull black 4-in-hand. I don't know what a 4-in-hand is. Do you? Oh my goodness. A butler does not wear jewelry such as tie pins, rings, or conspicuous cuffs. Wow. Now, here we go. Duties of the butler. The butler is in charge of all servants and is the household's major executive. He does not have authority over governesses, registered nurses, social secretaries, tutors, or, of course, companions. Valets, or as they say in Downton Abbey, valets, chauffeurs, gardeners, and ladies' maids, usually under direct supervision of employers, are more or less on an equal basis with the butler, although they do not interfere with his direction of other servants. Oh my gosh, I need a butler. A well-trained butler always phrases things in the third person. But the more democratic American practice of servants using the second person is now usual. An American butler answering the door may well say, "Will you be seated while I see if Mrs. Moore is at home?" He is still courteous and deferential, however. Wow. Now it goes, there's so much more. Now the valet or valet is a gentleman's gentleman, pretty much the same as a lady's maid. He keeps his employer's clothes in order. He does his personal shopping, keeps his shoes shined, and every clothing item clean and in repair. He acts as the household secretary. He buys train and theater tickets. He makes reservations. And on trips in the car, he rides with the driver and acts as man in the box, opening the door, assisting those entering and leaving the car, carrying wraps and packages. And that goes into what he wears. And then the chauffeur. Ay, ay, ay. In most modern households, a full-time chauffeur is expected to do more than just drive the car. Usually he doubles as butler or gardener or stableman if they're in the country. Boy, chauffeurs are usually on 7-day duty, on call day or night. The family must modify its own demands so that within this period the chauffeur receives the equivalent of a full day off. Then it goes into the housekeeper. Now, a housekeeper is not a servant, but an executive in household management. She is well educated and comes and takes full charge with or without additional help. She does all the household buying, hiring, firing, meal planning, bookkeeping, and if necessary, prepares the meals, takes full care of the house, and supervises the children. She is a social equal and often has meals with the family. The social secretary, the cook and the kitchen maid, the lady's maid, the chambermaid. So the chambermaid makes beds and keeps the upstairs rooms clean and tidy. She patrols the bathrooms so they are in order after each use. She keeps the household linen mended and is in charge of the linen room. She collects and prepares the upstairs laundry to be sent out. At night after dinner, she turns down beds, refills the water jugs on the night tables, brings fruit, crackers, or other expected bedtime snacks, and lays out night clothes. Then there's an entire section on how to manage a sit-down dinner without a maid. I don't know how they do it, but somehow they do. And they show how to set a table. Oh my goodness. I'm going to show you. There are some suggested menus. And even how to make tea. Because one thing we prepare badly in this country is tea. I don't. I make great tea. Wow, this is a big section just on making tea. Oh boy. Managing the family income. How to manage a checking account. Wow, that's a big section. That was just a little taste of Amy Vanderbilt's complete book of etiquette. And no kidding, that was just a small section. There is a lot in there, and maybe I'll pick out some other topics to read about and drone about. And again, it's just for the voice. ASMR voices help to relax you, and that's my goal. So I hope I've done that to some degree. I do appreciate all your wonderful feedback. Some of it really makes me laugh. And I look forward to doing these videos and connecting with you and hearing from you. So before you fall asleep, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe if you would. And again, thank you. I hope you rest. I hope you relax. And I hope you fall asleep, if that is your intention. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you